Happy November. So glad that you're here. I'm glad to be here. It is a wonderfully rainy day outside today. And I know for some people that's probably not very exciting, but we don't get a lot of rain here. So whenever it rains, I'm super excited. It actually was snowing when we woke up this morning. I'm not actually accumulating or anything. It was melting before it hit the ground, but it was still nice to see the snowflakes coming down. And we had some flurries on Wednesday too, but just kind of a random sputter of snowflakes, and then the sun came out. So that one didn't last long, but it's been raining all day today. So I'm excited for all the moisture. And it's a really nice day to be just inside and reading and all of that. So I'm doing my puzzle and knitting, and so I'm doing all the hobbies today. So very exciting. But I wanted to take a little break today and do my November wrap up. So that's what you're here for. So let's get to it. Let's see, I think I read 14 books in the month of November. And I did I tried some that were outside of my comfort zone a little bit. So I did some that were a little more horror-esque. I don't know if they were out and out horror, and I had done a few in September as well, if you saw my September wrap up. So a little outside of my normal genres, but they were fun and I enjoyed them. So, or at least most of them. So I think when I did my September wrap up, I was about halfway through the book, 500 Miles from You, by Jenny Colgan. Colgan. Not quite sure if I'm saying that right. And I gave this 3 stars, but I kind of think it's one of those kind of cute rom-com-esque type, but it just felt a little less cute and a little more meaningful. So it's probably on the upper side of 3 stars, somewhere, maybe 3.5. I don't know that I'd say 4, but I did enjoy it. And I don't know that it was super memorable. Like, it's not going to be one that I reflect on a lot, but I just really enjoyed my time with it. So, and this one, it's 2 nurses, a male nurse who's kind of in the countryside, and then a female nurse who's in London, and the female nurse has kind of a traumatic experience, and it's just, I think, kind of having a hard time dealing with it. And so, and her superiors feel so too. And so they think that maybe some time in the country would benefit her. And so they offer by kind of saying, you need to go do this, her an exchange program with this other nurse. So they swap houses and everything. And then they need to correspond to collaborate on their patient's care. So they do that initially via emails, and then some phone calls and texts and things as well. And so you kind of see their relationship built, through that. So it was really good. And it wasn't so much, when I say rom-com, there wasn't a lot of comedy in it, but it was very heartfelt, and I enjoyed it. And then I read Dreadful Young Ladies and Other Stories by Kelly Barnhill. And I think I read all but the very last story in this. I didn't even finish the last one just because I didn't enjoy any of the others. They were fine. They didn't resonate with me. I didn't take anything from them. Yeah, I just didn't really enjoy them. I mean, I didn't hate them by any means, but I can't tell you what any of them are really about. I just didn't care for them much. So that was kind of a miss for me. Then I read Uzumaki. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. And I'm not even going to try to say, sorry, I am right by the dog door. And so they're going to be in and out. And I think the neighbor dogs are out too. So they're going to be barking. So please ignore that. But anyway, this is a horror graphic novel, which again is like I haven't done a lot of graphic novels, and definitely not horror graphic novels. And I was a little leery about it because I don't watch horror movies because they can be so graphic, and I don't necessarily want to see see all that gore and whatnot. But it was, in graphic novel style. So you didn't see all that necessarily blood and guts and gore and, the suspenseful music that, I think half the time that's worse than the actual attack or whatever. So anyway, I did really like this. It was really tense, and it did have me, what do I want to say, kind of tense and just anticipating the next thing that was going to happen. And it was kind of scary. But I enjoyed it a lot. I was there for it. So I might have to try more of these. I did end up giving it 4 stars. And then I read My Dark Vanessa by Kate Elizabeth Russell, and I did love this book. I gave it 5 stars. It was one that I had a really hard time reading. It is one of those topics that's really hard to read about if for some reason you haven't heard about this book. So this is a teacher who grooms his young female students to fall in love with him or whatever, so that he can make sexual partners out of them and take advantage of them and that type of thing. But when you start the book in present time with one of his previous victims who he's being accused again, and she isn't believing it because she doesn't really feel like she was a victim, and so she doesn't feel like this other girl is probably not a victim either. And it was just really a tough one. And then you kind of go back and forth between present and when she first started in his classroom and the meeting and him starting to groom her and whatnot. But it was a really hard topic. And but I thought it was done in a really, really good way, because it was totally believable. I think I said last month I read Things Have Gotten Worse Since We Last Spoke, and I gave that one 2 stars because I just felt like it jumped from, them emailing and saying, I want to sell this, great, I want to buy this, and then kind of getting to know each other, right to the part where it gets weird. And it's like there wasn't I felt like we were missing the communication in between where they got to that point that she would do this or that or the other. And this one, you could see how through, gaslighting and through manipulation and different techniques, how she would think the way she thought and why she would do what she did. So yeah, I just really thought this was a great book all the way around. So I'm excited. This is one too that we are doing a traveling book club through, and this was my pick for that. So I've sent that on. We have, I think there's 5 of us in the loop, and everybody picks a book and then read it and annotate in it, and then send it to the next person. And then you get your original book back with everybody's notes in it. So I'm excited to see what everybody thinks of it. But I kind of feel bad that I picked such a hard book. So I'm hoping that it's not too hard for people to read. Then I read, or actually listened to, Marple, 12 New Mysteries, by Naomi Alderman. It looks like there's more names on there too. Oh yeah, this is the one that it was contributors from 12 different authors. And this one I gave 3 stars. I felt that they were really, I could totally see the Agatha Christie elements coming through in them. But it just felt like something was missing. You could tell it wasn't Agatha Christie writing him. And I just didn't love him as much. They were fine. I gave him 3 stars, but yeah, it wasn't, Agatha Christie is usually a 5-star for me or 4 stars. So I was kind of disappointed in those, but, and then I read, I'm so sorry about the dogs. I hope you can't hear that, but I'm sure you probably can. And so then I read The Haunting of Hill House by Shirley Jackson, and I gave this one 4 stars. I really enjoyed this. It's a classic, and I had never read it before, had never watched the movies, and I hear often, about books that kind of are a throwback to this or have this element in it. And so I wanted to read it to see what everybody was talking about. And I did really enjoy it. So this one is kind of, there are the doctor and he wants to study, ghosts or paranormal in this house or in a house. And so he finds this house, that has high, sorry, I had to pause I couldn't handle the barking anymore. Had to let the dogs in and lock them in. And then, you know how I said I love the rain? Well, we haven't gotten it in so long that I forgot about the mud. And so then there was mud everywhere. So I had to clean that up as best I could. So I'm back, but I kind of forgot where I was. I think I was talking about The Haunting of Hill House. A doctor found a house that had reported some paranormal activity. And so he wanted to go and spend a summer there, I think, like 3 months or a few months or something like that. And had asked for some people who had paranormal activity in their past to come and join him. And he ended up with, two gals and then the nephew of the owner. The owner wanted somebody from the family on the premises, and so he joined as well. I think is how many people ended up being there. And then the doctor's wife came later, and her, I don't know what, assistant or something. Somebody, she brought somebody with her as well. But anyway, yeah, some of it you don't like it. I don't know. It just was very interesting to see how that all developed, and what of it is paranormal and what is just her, one of these gals maybe losing her mind, or what exactly is happening in this house. And yeah, I don't know. It was a really good read. I really did like it, and so I will be checking out more from her. And it's the kind of horror that I could probably handle, because it's not gory, but it's very suspenseful. So then I listened to The American Roommate Experiment by Elena Armas. I'll put it up here so you can see. But I rated this 2 stars. It was fine. Just, again, I feel bad when I give these not great ratings, because I do enjoy them. I like them because I don't have to listen to them with all my attention, so I can listen to them while I'm doing my puzzles or knitting or cleaning the house. And if I miss a little bit, it's okay, because it's not that in depth of a book. So for my purposes, they're a great book. So I feel bad when I give it a bad rating. But some of them, you can still have a nice, easy read and have a good experience with it. Does that make sense? I don't know. But anyway, there wasn't anything really. Oh, and I remember why I gave this one particularly 2 stars. I think it would have been better because, the plot wasn't bad. The story, it went a little long. I think it was like a 15-hour long. And for a rom-com, with the plot that it had, just wasn't very, I can't even tell you what was the plot. It just wasn't, the gal is a writer, and she writes rom-com type books, and she is having a hard time finding inspiration. And so her friend suggests that she date, because she hasn't dated for a long time. And so this friend says that, you really should date to have inspiration. How are you going to write about it if you're not experiencing it? And so she doesn't really have time to date because she's supposed to be writing. So this other gentleman kind of volunteers to take her on dates so that she can experience that, have the experiences and get the inspiration without having to deal with the actual dating aspect of it. So the plot wasn't bad. It was long. And then what I really hated about it was the voice of the male character on the audiobook. It drove me insane. Like everything, it just sounded like he was trying to be seductive all the time. So it was like this, and like rumbly, whispery voice, and I hated it. It drove me absolutely nuts. So it probably would have got better stars if it just would have had a better voice for that. But that was my main problem with it, and that it was just a little long. So otherwise, the plot line wasn't bad. There were some funny parts. And it held my interest, even though it was 15 hours. So I don't know. And then I read The Family Remains by Lisa Jewell, and I gave this one 5 stars. And I think I gave it, I know I gave it 5 stars, but sometimes through the book, I was like, I don't know. And if you don't know, this is the second in the Family Upstairs series. And I don't know if there's just, I think there's just 2 now, and I don't know if that's where it's ending or if there's going to be more, but yeah, this, it had been so long since I read The Family Upstairs that there were parts that I couldn't remember as I was reading it. I'm like, did I already know this? Did we get this in the first book? Because there were sometimes that the way it was written, it was like, is this new information or or did I know this already? And it did have flashbacks into the first book from different points of view. So that was really interesting to see as well. I just really liked it. And even if you didn't read the first one, like you could get everything you needed from this book. Like you weren't missing plot points in the other one that you needed in this one. Although I wouldn't recommend doing that, because I think what made this one so good is that it was a follow-up to the first one. So I don't think it would have been as interesting if you hadn't read the first one. But anyway, I really liked it. I just really wish that I would have read them closer together so that I would have known exactly what I knew. I wish I knew what I knew. But yeah. Then I read, listen to this one also, The Killers of a Certain Age by Deanna Raybourn. And I gave this one 3 stars. I really wanted to love this one. The premise of it is there are this group of, 4 or 5 women who are like trained assassins, and they are assigned to kill bad people. I mean, they don't really work for any government or anything like that, but that's just what they do, is kill bad people. And they are now in current day at retirement age, and they are retiring or have just retired, I think. And then somebody is out to kill them, and so they're trying to figure out why and stay alive. And that's kind of the premise of the book. But then you also get flashbacks to when they were initially recruited. Well, primarily one of the women is the main storyteller. So you get flashbacks to when she was recruited and different points throughout her career and things like that. But it just wasn't, it was just a little dry. It wasn't as entertaining as I was thinking it would be. Yeah. It was okay. And I just didn't ever feel like I knew, sometimes you get a real atmosphere for it. Like I didn't feel like the atmosphere was written very well. I never really knew, felt like I was in the situation, but yet at the same time, it didn't feel like a character-driven plot either, because I didn't feel like I really knew my characters very well. So yeah, I just, all around, it was kind of a miss. I liked the premise, but didn't care for it. Then I attempted to read The Witch's Vacuum Cleaner and Other Stories. I really kind of wanted to read a Terry Pratchett book, and I'd wanted to for a while. And then I come to find out that on Goodreads, I think this is the lowest rated one. So this probably wasn't the one to pick up, but it was the one that, like, at that day, I just happened to be at the library, and I'm like, oh, I'll look around and for other books. And it just was right there. And so I picked it up. So I didn't read, there were short stories. And so I probably read 4 or 5 of them, and then I was done, and it was fine, but I think I just didn't count it as a read book. I counted it as a DNF. And then I listened to This Is How You Lose the Time War. And I won't try to say that name, but I'll put it up here. And I rated this one 2 stars, and I feel kind of bad about that because it is one of those books that is very, it's very beautiful writing, poetic type of writing. And that is just not ever really for me. The whole way through, I just didn't really feel like there was much going on. I mean, it was just a lot of flowery writing and description. And I mean, yes, it was battles and things like that, but not actual battles, but like describing the brutality of war and I don't know, and I know a lot of people love this, and that's great. But yeah, this is not my type of book. And then I have another miss. So I really love Good Omens, the TV series. And so since then I've read Good Omens, the book, and I really loved it. And so I wanted to read more of them separately. They collaborated on that. So I picked up by Neil Gaiman, The Ocean at the End of the Lane. And I gave it 2 stars at the time, but I think it's because I was disappointed. I had high expectations, and I was kind of disappointed. If I didn't have any expectations going into it, it might have been a 3. I know that's awful to say, isn't it? Like, it shouldn't matter what my expectations were. But it just, I don't know. It was kind of a miss for me. It was it was very sci-fi-ish, which is fine. Just that's not my, that isn't a genre that I've spent a lot of time in. So it's not one I feel like I can judge, very well. And I don't, maybe it's not for me. Maybe I'm more of a sci-fi light type of reader. And then it always felt like there was more underlying that I was supposed to be getting from it, and I didn't get it. So the plot on this, I don't know. This boy lives in a house with his sister and mother and father, and then I don't even remember why. He goes somewhere with the neighbor girl, and somehow it's like in a different realm or something. And then somehow he something attaches to him and comes back with him. And then that thing becomes like it's, I don't know what it is, but it becomes like a nanny. like his parents hire this lady to be his nanny, but he knows that she's like an alien or something. And yeah, I don't know, it's kind of scary. I mean, it was a lot more scary than what I would have, because I think this is supposed to be kind of okay for kids, but it didn't feel, it felt very tense for me. So I don't know if I'd want to be a kid reading it. It probably would have scared me quite a bit. So yeah, anyway, I just felt like I was missing something there, and it just didn't wasn't for me. So then I read The Westing Game. Again, this is another classic that I've heard a lot about, and people say, you know, oh, this reminds me of this, and this reminds me of that. And I've heard it too, kind of in the same line as Clue, the movie Clue. And I that's one of my favorite movies. So I kind of thought, well, I want to check that out. And I did really enjoy it. I gave it 4 stars. And this one is a kind of a young, is it supposed to be young adult or even younger? It's supposed to be for a younger audience, but I didn't feel like it was dumbed down or anything in any way. Like I was very happy with the writing style as an adult. So I had no problem reading through. Oh, and it's by Ellen Raskin. So yeah, I could see picking up more of these. It was just fun. Yeah, it was a lot like Clue. It was kind of funny and whodunit, and you know, let's see, what was the plot of this? So all these people get letters that there's a new like apartment building or complex or whatever being built, and so they have been invited to come see it, but little did they know that they were the only people that were invited to. You know, there were 6 tenants or whatever, that they were hand selected to be the people who occupied those, and so the realtor or whatever would go and say, you know, oh, we got one left, you should really come, and kind of talk them into it, and then those people were the only ones that got the apartments. But did that make sense? I felt like I kind of rambled through that. But anyway, so then why were they selected, and you know, who selected them, and what is the point of it? So you're always kind of wondering that. And then there's an old house across the street, and the kids are kind of talking, and then somebody dares somebody else to go. It's Halloween night, and so it's perfect read for, I think I did read it like on Halloween. And they dare another kid to go, you know, sneak into the house on Halloween and stay the night or something. And so she does, and she finds a dead body or whatever and comes out screaming. And so then it's all kind of this mystery of, you know, who, and I think they're all brought together. Sorry. They're all brought together to talk about, or for the will reading. And in the will, it's like, if you can figure out who killed him, then you win all his money or whatever. And, so yeah, then they're all, you know, kind of teamed up and working together. And, yeah, it was just a lot of fun, and trying to figure out, you know, who's doing this and who's doing that and who said this and what was their clue. And, it was a lot of fun. I did enjoy it. And then the last one that I read in October, listen to this one as well, was You Deserve Each Other by Sarah Hogle. And I gave this one 3 stars. It was fine. It was another rom-com-y type book. And this one, they're already a couple, and they're engaged, and they don't have a wedding date. But it's all from her point of view. And I think I would like this a little better if it was maybe went back and forth between the two. But at the start, she's just not, you know, he's annoying me, and he's, you know, he's doing this and he's doing that, and he doesn't help with this, and he says this, and he doesn't know how this makes me feel. But she's also holding back, you know, her feelings. They're not discussing any of their feelings, and things kind of happen to make it all come to a head. And they have to figure it out. So they either work together to move forward or not, and that type of thing. So I thought that was it was a very unique in the fact that they weren't. It was a love to hate, but they were already together, and I don't think I've ever seen that done before. So that was really interesting to see that and to see that it's possible. Usually when you see trouble in relationships in books, you don't ever see it come back to life. That's when they're already calling it quits, and maybe that's done too often because, I think a lot of times people just give up, pretty easy in their relationships and whatnot. And so it's nice to see that they worked through it and were even better, better because of it. So, so that was all the books that I read in October. Did I say November earlier? So October. So it was what was good was really good, and what wasn't was not. So it was either great or it was not good. But I'm also excited for this the next couple of months, I guess, because I think I felt like, particularly because of October, I was trying to read some that were more outside my comfort zone in the horror aspect of books. And I also had a challenge on, Storygraph. I have several challenges on there, and one of them is to read a horror every month. And so I do think I have one or two more that I need to fill before the end of the year to meet that challenge. But I knocked a lot of them out in the last month or so with it being October. So the next couple of months should be more just reading for fun type of books. So I'm kind of looking forward to that. Anyway, let me know what you've been reading. Have you read any of these, and what were your thoughts on them? I'd like to hear. Okay, I will talk to you next time.